Hello and welcome to Motors for the Masses, and I've been sent another box. So, should we find out what's in it? Well, let's roll the intro and get cracking and we'll have a look. So what have we got? Well, inside this brown box is a black box, and this is the Thirdeye from INNOVV. See that there? The Thirdeye from INNOVV. It's a nice sturdy strong box. It feels quite weighty. Just throw it around a bit. Let's see what we've got here. So it says on the side here, give you a clue as to what it is. Up to 64 targets, wild field of view, which is like a wide field of view, but just a bit crazy. High precision, IP67 waterproof, and easy to install. We like easy to install. That means I can do it without having to employ a Jamie or a Malcolm to help me. So I'm not going to give you too much information until I open it and show you what it is. It's nice and weighty. It's very sturdy. Another one that's magnetised on the side here. I've already broken the seal. Nice picture on the inside there. Any ideas what it is yet? Well, that's what you get. And it is a target detection system for your motorcycle. So basically it detects things coming up alongside you and behind you. And we'll go into the details of what you get in a moment. But to start with, let's see what you get in the box. So what we have here is the system on a wire. Let's take the packaging out. Take that out first. Also on a wire. Right, let's take the packaging out. Make things a lot simpler. Just got to push that back through again. Don't need that. Bit of rubber. Okay, so when you open the system here, or open, you've got all your wires and your two units, instruction manual, and a card from the company, or a piece of paper from the company. I can hear an ice cream van. Nice box, nice and sturdy to store some nuts and bolts in your garage, or garage if you're listening in America. Right, so what have we got here? Okay, so all the comes apart quite easily, and all your wiring is inside. We've got a little packet here, a fused wire, all that. Well, it looks quite straightforward and quite simple. What do we get in this packet here? Little mounting brackets by the looks of it. It does look actually easy to install. Well, you've got two different sized Allen keys, two different sized bolts, funny that, various nuts and bolts, little sticky pads, 3M sticky pads, and some mounting brackets, whatever that is, or a little rubber piece, another mounting bracket. These are made of, some are metal and some are quite sturdy plastic by the looks of it, nice and lightweight, sturdy plastic brackets and a metal mounting plate. Okay, interesting. This is the unit that you look at. No, it's not. This is the detection unit. Okay, So we'll see where that mounts in a minute. And this is the unit you look at that you mount on your dash. So it tells you where it's coming from, which side or behind. So if it comes from behind, they both light up. If it comes from that side, that lights up, and that side, that lights up. And it's plumbed in through that unit. What I quite like is you've got lots of wire. So that's obviously mounted on your dash, and that's mounted on the back of your bike, showing what's coming up behind you. Interesting. Right, let's see what the manual has to say, shall we? Stay safe, safe ride, your guardian on the road. Oh, so stay aware, safe ride, not stay safe. I missed out a word there. It's all very straightforward by the looks of it. I don't want an ice cream. It's the wrong time of year for ice creams. Still cold outside, apparently. So yes, there's lots of different bits of information on there. You don't need me to go through all that. The installation guide, all very straightforward by the looks of it. Is that in focus? Can you see that? There you go. It's all very straightforward. But I shall go through the features next. Right, there we go. It does look like basically you've got a fused wire. It plugs into your positive and negative lead. I'm assuming that would make it live all the time. So it's best to connect to your switch live, I would say. I don't know, let me have a quick scan through and I'll come back to you in a second. So yes, there we go. It says in the instructions, connect the negative to the negative side of the battery, and then the positive goes through the ignition. So it'll come on with the ignition, otherwise it'll be live all the time. And then if you don't have a charger on your battery, it will ruin your battery and kill it. Unlike that other one I tried on the, it's not the same system, but the other unit I tried on the ZXR, the IndyMate, to remind you that your indicators are on, that will only work after the ignition's been turned on and the bike is running, and then after 30 minutes of inactivity it shuts down, so it has its own switch off. So it's not like that live all the time unless you do it through the ignition. So we'll get that wired in, but before we do that we'll go through some of the features that it has, and I think you'll be quite surprised at all the features it does have. And then we'll go out for a ride and see what it's like. I'm sure it works fine, but let's try it anyway. Now, just before we do that, let's talk about who INNOVV are. Well, they're a company that was founded in 2013, and they started developing dash cameras, and they've got 4 or 5 different versions of those. And in 2019, they developed the Thirdeye system. The first one was 2 little light indicators, which they still sell, that attach to the edge of your mirrors, and then they light up when the detection happens. And then they developed this one where you've got the 2 little pictures on. They asked me which one I wanted to review, and I liked the idea of the little pictures, and that's the more modern version. So I thought I'd plumb for that one. But I quite like the little indicators too. I think they're quite nifty, and they're handy. If you're riding along, you can just see the light at your peripheral vision, blinking on your, like you see in cars now when you're driving along. You've got that little orange light that appears on the mirror to say that there's something coming. Same technology, except it doesn't use cameras, it uses radar. And there's an advantage to that, and I'll talk about that in a second. Now, as I say, I like this one. It does mean you've got this blinking away on your dash, but I quite like that. And I think it's easy to see. Again, peripheral vision, you have it there, you just see this light blinking. Quite little glance, which you would glance at your mirror anyway, so no big drama there. Now, this radar technology is currently being used on the new BMW R1300 and Ducati's Multistrada V4S. They use all camera systems, but the radar is more reliable. It uses a 77 to 99 gigahertz frequency, where a lot of them use a 24 gigahertz frequency. So it's a lot more reliable, and it can detect a hell of a lot more than your standard cheaper ones. The field of view is 150 degrees, so it's quite a wide field of view. Now, a lot of dash cams that you can buy now boast 140 or 170 degree view, and when you stick them in your window, there, you can almost see the pillars of your windscreen. So it's really wide. So the detection is very steep, shall we say. Not narrow, quite steep field of view or field of detection. It can also detect up to 64 targets at a time, and it is IP67 waterproof. Now I have to say, INNOVV have been working with various law enforcement agencies around the world, including several in the UK, and to include Suffolk Constabulary, where I live. So it's being used by a lot of important companies. Now they use the dash cams for their technology. So INNOVV as a company are quite a forward-thinking and quality product. So some of the features you get BSD, which is blind spot detection, which has a range from 0.2 to 6 meters. You also get LCA, which is lane change assistance, in that it can detect targets from 0.2 to 50 meters when the time to collision is less than 3.01 seconds. So in other words, when you're traveling along, if you detect something here and it would take less than 3.01 seconds for that object that detects to hit you, that's when it would detect it. And it can detect from a range from 0.2 meters, which is that, to 50 meters behind you, up to 64 targets. So that's quite a big field of detection and quite a lot of detection that it can handle at any one time. And it's also got RCW, which is rear collision warning. So when targets are in a range from, again, 0.2 to 50 meters, with the collision time less than 3.01 seconds. So on paper, it seems quite a good system. And as I say, you see them on a lot of modern cars now, the little orange blinky symbol in the corner of the mirror. So you can get the option with the blink things in the mirror, or this one. And I like a nice picture. So I believe that flashes blue, that glows up blue in the middle there, and then they glow orange when something is detected. They're little stickers that if you wanted to, you can stick on your bike to say, look, I've got collision damage system on my bike. Ooh. So let's get it on a bike and get it on the road and see what it looks like. So the bike of choice for today is my good old trusty Triumph Speed Triple. And yes, I am aware that I'm wearing Honda and Repsol Honda. But anyway, let's just get it fitted, shall we? And that's it finished. Now, it didn't take too long. The only fiddly bit was that I had to drill an extra hole into the number plate bracket just to mount it off there. So I needed an extra nut and bolt. That was it really, and a drill, but you know, no big drama. It's nice and neat in the center of the number plate, just below it, so the radar should work perfectly. Nothing in its way whatsoever. Of course, ideally, you should mount it further higher up, but I can't really on this bike, so it's all bike dependent, because I've got lights, I've got reflector, I've got number plate, I've got the number plate light there, so I can't really do anything else other than what I've done. So the wires are neatly routed through. The switch live I used was piggybacked off the rear lights, so that only comes on when you switch on the ignition. When you're looking for a switch live, you want something that only turns on when the ignition goes on. Rear lights is that in this case, so there you go. I've routed it all through, cable tied it to the frame and mounted it on here, and I've used the bracket they provided and put it on the bottom of the screw that holds the screen in, so easy on this one. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like in the real world. If I was to make a suggestion, I would say put 3 or 4 cable ties and maybe an extra nut and bolt in the box with the unit, just in case extra is needed. Shouldn't think that'll cost a lot of money, but just a couple of little things that might help. Other than that, it's all good to go. So we're going to get it out on the road and see what it's like in the real world. So here we go. Let's see what it's like. I'll go down the dual carriageway. I'll try overtaking someone, and then I will try and let them come past me, which will be very difficult to do, because that means I've got to do about 45 miles an hour. So we'll try that out and see what it's like. I'll keep an eye on the mirrors so I can see people in the mirrors, and then see how close they get and whether the alarm goes off. It's very prominent, very easy to see. I've got the blue man on there, which is obviously me. There's nothing behind me whatsoever, so I cannot see anything go red yet. What I will also do when I get there, I was a learner, I'm always behind a bloody learner. So yeah, what I'll also do when I get there is overtake someone and see whether it pings up as I go past them. Right, I'm going to sit here, and when this car approaches up to the roundabout, I'll see whether it flashes up. Right, who's behind me now? Yes, that did. That's quite good. So that warned me that there was a guy coming up behind me. I'm going to go slow down here and hope that he overtakes me. So here we go. There, yes, and there he goes. Excellent. Now another one's pulled out. There we go, red light, and here he comes. Perfect. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to overtake him. So I am now alongside. Okay. Now why isn't that showing up? That's interesting. Perhaps it's because I'm pulling away and he's not approaching me. There you go, red light. And there's the person. There we go. So it has to approach me. So I was doing 40, the car on the inside lane came up behind me doing more than 40, so it was approaching me, and then the left buzzer went off. That's quite handy. So if I overtake someone, it doesn't go off, and that's what I was worried about, that every time I go past someone it's going to go buzz, 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 but they have to approach you. So the radar picks up whether they approach you. That's quite handy. I like that. I like that a lot. Now both of them went off because there was a car coming up behind me. Perfect. Well, it works very well. Very pleased with this system. So used to the traffic lights, a car comes up behind you, both of them go off. Like that, you see? Now it's picking it up because there's cars going right behind me. Very good system. I like that a lot. Okay then, so let's get back and talk about some prices. So as you can see, that worked really nicely. I was very pleased. At first I was a bit worried that as I was overtaking, it wasn't showing up the things I was overtaking, but that's because the sensor only picks up something coming towards you. That's quite handy because, as I said when I was riding, what I didn't want is for it to go beep, 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 beep every time I'm overtaking someone. And if you're filtering, that would be a nightmare, wouldn't it? Obviously in the UK you can filter quite legally. In the USA they don't tend to like it. I'm sure you can still legally, but they don't tend to like it. It tends to be frowned upon. Whereas in the UK it's perfectly acceptable. However, That's all irrelevant because it doesn't do it that way. It's only if you're stationary, or if you're slow, or if you're riding and something comes up behind you. That's perfect. So as you can see, it demonstrated it really nicely. It worked if something came up alongside me on the right hand side, or even within 50 meters, it worked fantastically. On the left hand side, as I was slowing down for the traffic lights, that car was catching me up, and as it started to come up on me, then it bleeped. And then when I sat at the traffic lights, even when we were starting to pull away, there was a car come up behind me, and it was still a distance away, and it picked up, and both little red cars shone up. So and even when I came around the roundabout and I stopped at the traffic lights at the roundabout, the cars going past, going straight on, it was picking them up as well. So that's quite handy. Really pleased with the radar system and how it works. But what about price? Well, it's $298 US, which works out to 236 UK pounds. However, if you use my discount code, Mark10, which is down the bottom there somewhere, then you'll get 10% off that price. Now, this discount code will work in any country around the world, with the exception of Australia and New Zealand for some reason. Maybe because living there is so nice and so cheap, they just don't deserve it. Who knows? But anyway, any other country, it's absolutely fine, just not in Australia or New Zealand. So maybe if you've got a friend in Singapore, order it there and get it shipped from there. But then you'll spend an extra 10% getting it shipped. Whatever. Anyway, there you go. That's the unit, and I'm very pleased and very impressed with it. So have at it. Have a look in the links in the description below, and it will take you straight to the product to purchase. Don't forget that discount code. And that's all I've got for this episode. So thank you very much for watching. Until next time, please ride and drive carefully, but have fun. Bye-bye.